Welcome to Better Credit, Better Home, your source for the latest local and national news that can impact you if you are in the market for real estate. Here are your hosts, the Kingwood mortgage guy, Mike Durr, who uses his 25 years as a mortgage professional to help people improve their credit, and Joe Salas, an accomplished home inspector, real estate agent, and trainer of new agents for Byrd Property International. Together, they will help you understand what you need to know to get the most out of your real estate investment. Let's get started.
Let's get started. All right.
Do it.
Joe, how's it going, man?
I love it. I love the new intro, Mike. Thanks for doing that.
Oh, yeah. I thought that was kind of fun. So, today's kind of a special deal, and I've got this. It's really a presentation, and it really kind of wants you to tell me what you think about it. But it's all about making payments affordable, and we're going to kind of diverge away from the Better Credit, Better Home thing, and I want you to see this. But this is going to be good for buyers. It's going to be good for sellers. It's going to be good for listing agents, and it's going to be good for buyers agents. And we'll go through why in just a minute. But I want your input throughout this whole thing. So this is not a new strategy, and I can tell you the truth that it's not my brilliant idea. It's me copying somebody's brilliant idea, and I think it's a pretty smart deal. So interest rates right now are up. Home prices are maybe not so much, and in some cases, home prices are being cut a little bit. And so we've got a strategy for that kind of thing, because you never want, as a seller, you never want to cut your price. And if you can get a lower rate as a buyer, trust me, that's a good thing. So this is what this looks like. Here is the headlines of the day: inflation, interest rates, finances, economic pressure. All of this stuff revolves around the fact that home prices have been, and I don't mean to say inflated, I think that people have been pricing aggressively because homes have sold with prices at an aggressive level. In the meantime, interest rates, particularly since the end of March, have doubled. I mean, that's bottom line is, if you looked at rates today, and I'll talk about that before we get through, they're double what they were at the end of March. So something has to give. There has to be some kind of angle there. So this is kind of what we're looking at. It's an affordability is a key issue. And again, just kind of reviews what I just said as far as the rates back in December. And this particular one shows that when you could buy a house for $450,000, you may now only qualify for a little over $400,000. And it's just a matter of debt ratio and the amount of money that you make versus the amount of money that the new mortgage costs. I don't know, Joe, if you've seen that, but it's out there. And there are people that pre-qualified 2 or 3 months ago, and they've been looking for houses, and what they pre-qualified for, they don't qualify for anymore.
Oh, so, yeah, I'm living it right now.
Yeah.
I got a listing that falls in that category, I believe.
So this is the premise of this, is a successful negotiation is when everyone wins. This isn't about somebody wins and somebody loses. This is when everybody wins. And this is one of those scenarios where that can happen. And be the solution. So this is what we're going to do, is we're going to give a solution. So don't drop your listing price. Use this strategy instead. So the presentation that I'm going to share with you is going to give a listing agent a reason not to reduce their price. And it's a valid reason. And then one of the agents that saw this presentation said, "Thanks, this is the most helpful email I've gotten from a new lender in 8 years." Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe she's been around for that long, maybe longer. But the truth is, this could be very helpful stuff. And it's like a right now type thing. It's not in the future. So time machine. So right now, there's a 6% strategy, and 6% is where we are right now. But with seller discount points, the same rate today could be 4.75. So that would take us back in time about 2 or 3 months. And if you could do that, if you could get your buyers in the 4.75 to 5.25, wouldn't that be a sweet thing?
Oh yeah.
I mean, you'd have buyers that like it, and you definitely, if it didn't cost too much, you'd have sellers like it too. So this is a quick case study, and this is Tomball, Texas. The price reduction, this property was listed originally at $439. The new sales price, $425. Is that unusual, Joe?
Nope, that seems about right.
Okay. So the seller decided they were going to leave $14,000 off the sales price just to get some action on this house. I mean, at that point, that's not great for a listing agent, because, and usually what happens, this is what I see, is that the listing agent probably came and said, look, we got to list this at 425. And the seller probably said, oh, no, I think we can get more. My neighbor down the street got 450. And they ultimately settled on the buyer's side of it at 439. And I mean, I don't know if you do that, but I mean, buyers insist that their property be sold at a certain price, or they'll go to some other agent that'll list it at that.
It happens. That's actually one of the, I don't want to say contentious, but most challenging aspects of being a listing agent is to convince your sellers that your approach to marketing and pricing their home is more correct than their approach.
Well, yeah, I mean, they have no clue, except Uncle Bob has a neighbor that lives in the neighborhood that sold his house, and you don't know any confirmation of that or anything. So anyway, at this point, the guy's looking at dropping $15,000 in hope that more buyers will show up and make offers on the property. So when you do a deal like this, you have to make sure of these things. You have to make sure that the home value is consistent with what you get on the MLS. So you got to have comps to be able to do this. And that means that the location's good, the seller's time frame is good, there have been improvements on the property, the condition's good, the market's good, all of these are good, the neighborhood's good. This is the realtor's job to make sure that all of these things are being done before they list a home. Did I leave any out, Joe?
No, that's pretty much it. Pre-listing inspection.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's one we always like to remember, that one. So the price after the reduction was $425. Let's say the guy's putting 5% down. Rates, and I did this on Rates Today. Unbelievable. Rates Today, 6.25. Now that's not to say that you couldn't get a better rate, but I mean, that's what a par rate was today. It's shocking to me to say that, because it seemed like just last week it was 5.25. So that would yield a $2,486 monthly payment on a conventional loan. Okay. So let's see what happens.
Mike, is that just principal and interest, or does that include escrow?
That's just principal and interest. That has no taxes and insurance. That's a good question. So the seller paid discount points. This is the other alternative. Kept the original sales price at $439. Okay. In this case, the discount was $9,459. That bought them down to a 5.375, so better on a 30-year fixed, and the payment is $22.35 a month. So by going this route, the buyer saved $251 a month, and the seller put $5,541 in their pocket. Does that seem like that would be a reasonable thing? If I can make your payments less and the seller gets more money, that's, in my book, that's a win-win. Let's look at some of this other stuff. Well, the seller wins because they sold their house for $439. They did give up a discount of $9,459, which went directly to paying down the points, or paying the rate down to that level. Now that's still, the seller comes out ahead, $5,541. That's a win. Case study number 2 in Houston. This is a FHA deal. Price reduction. Price was originally set at $279. The property, there was no action on it. They ended up, they're thinking I'm going to go down to $265. Another $14,000 credit. So let's see what happens on this one. Same thing that we talked about before. We want to make sure the comps are good and that the thing appraised for the 279. And then after the price after the reduction is 265. You put on FHA, most people put 3.75 down. Interest rate, par interest rate, 5.75. That's an FHA 30-year program. Principal and interest, 15.18. Okay, 15.18. Keep that in mind. Now, seller paid discount points, so the seller comes back and said, "Look, I'll pay $7,000 in discount points, but I want the 279 price." The interest rate goes to 4.625. The payment goes to $1,408 a month, and the buyer wins because his payment's $110 less than what it was when he was at the lower price, or the actual lower sales price. What kind of questions are you thinking about, Joe?
What's the maximum contribution that a seller can give to a buyer?
Well, conventional 3%, FHA 6%. Now, I think the 6% is a little on the absurd side. I just never, most of the time when we've done concessions, we've done it to eliminate closing costs. And keep in mind, the closing cost, if somebody has money, the closing costs aren't the issue. What the pain is what the payment is when you've got to pay these high interest rates. And that reduces people from being able to buy properties because the debt ratio and the payment takes them over that level. So you've got the option. It's basically the seller's given concession, but they're given a seller concession less than what they would write down the price. And as long as that's explained on how that is, the strategy behind that, if you can make somebody's payment more affordable, then it's a big win. Now there's a caveat to that, is there's a program out there called a 2-1 buy down. And the 2-1 buy down, I like it, but I like this better. And let me tell you why. On a 2-1 buy down, if the rate was 6.25, the starting rate for the first year would be 4.25, and that would save, let's say, $500 a month, right? Then the next year it would save $300 a month. But then on year 3, you're back to paying 6.25, and you have to qualify at 6.25. You see, so you get that temporary relief. But when you do the straight discount point, then what happens is it's a win for the rest of the time that you own the house. And you have to calculate, how long you're going to be in the house. Well, when you do, most people would be in their house 5 years or 7 years. That's pretty much the standard that we see in the industry. And when you multiply that, I did some math on here, and it was saving double what the discount points are if you stayed in that house 7 years, and 1.5 times if you stayed in that house 5 years. So it's definitely a win for the buyer. A couple of little subtle points on that. The buyer, even though that those discount points are paid for by the seller, the buyer gets to deduct them from his taxes. It's prepaid interest, and it is a tax deductible thing. Now, before I say another word, I'm not a CPA or an accountant.
Neither am I.
Disclosure is that you should check with your person that does your taxes to confirm that, but I'm pretty comfortable that that's a valid thing and you're paying those kind of discounts.
One thing that comes to mind, Mike, is like how as a listing agent do we market that? What's your ideas on how we inform the listing agent that is something that we're going to do besides just making a remark?
Well, it basically is a listing agent thing, because the listing agent, when they're entertaining a discounted price, right, that they've come to the point that say, look, this house is not moving at this price, we need to do something. That's when they would come up and say, this might be an idea, is through this mortgage individual, he has a program that'll make your payment affordable for the life of the loan. Okay, and that's one of the things I wanted to do this on, is I'll have something that kind of goes through this explanation, And that's a great question. I understand, I don't have the exact verbiage right now, but I do understand that there is verbiage that you can put on the MLS that indicates that there may be special financing on this property. Now, do you have any insights as to that?
Negative. I'm gonna have to do that's actually, I like this program, and I like the fact that you can put the proof is in the pudding, so to speak. You can make numbers out of it. Just me thinking through it as a trainer and everything else is, how does that line up with TREC requirements, HAR requirements, and what can we do as a listing agent to advertise that out to potential buyers agents and buyers. I know as a buyer's agent, it would be rather easy to just say, contact Mike, he'll hook you up, with the numbers and everything else. And then that is a play we make with our offer. Now, especially since it's not a lot of multiple offer situations. I mean, they're still out there, but they're dwindling. Yeah. So it's easier on the buyer side to show the idea and to present it to our buyer, and then through the presentation of the offer, present it to the sellers and the listing agent. But my idea is, let's take it back a step, or take it to the other side of the equation. And how do I, as a listing agent, because I am Sell Joe House, how does Sell Joe House market that out to the general public? I think it would be an easy sell to the seller, because they end up with more money in their pocket, and they make their house more attractive to the market by doing it that way instead of just discounting it. But how do we let the other side, or potential other side, know about it?
How about a flyer?
Thoughts? I think that would be good.
Financing flyer.
I think that would be good. And I mean, we can talk about this offline, but it's just the mechanics of making it work within the system and not overstepping any boundaries that may or may not be aware of. So, but I love the idea, man. I think it's an awesome thing. And I've asked for seller credits in the past, not so much for buying down points, but it was because of a money situation where VA and also another FHA loan, they needed that in order to close.
See, I get that too. And most of the ones that we've ever done is really to save people the amount of money that they bring to closing.
Yeah.
But this is a different time. And now we're saving them from a monthly payment. And the beauty of this is those people that don't qualify anymore, they may just qualify with this program.
Yeah.
And they may be able to qualify for a house that they didn't think they were going to be able to qualify for. But no, those are great questions, and I need to come up with answers for it. The first thing, the easy thing for me is a flyer at the house, whether it be an open house or whether it be just in part of the package when people will come in to look at the house. And again, the MLS thing, that's your world.
I'll figure that out. I'll let you know what I find out.
Okay, good. All right, let's move to the next one. Anyway, here's the seller wins on this FHA deal where they kept their $279 price point. $7,032 was paid in discount points. That means that they still are more to the positive of $6,968 a win. That works. And again, we're talking about a successful negotiation is when everyone wins. When this is the case, this would be another time when this could be brought up from the buyer's agent and the seller's agent. Is this an option? And obviously, you don't want to lower the price. After you do it, it may be too late. I mean, people would want you to give more possibly after that case. But I still think you could go back and say, well, how about this? We're going to go this way because I got to win on this also. So buyer wins. Here's another thing that I think is kind of cool is the buyers win because, one, their offer stands out because it's higher than most. In other words, if a property is deemed to be in trouble and people are not putting offers in that are full price, their offer could be full price and their offer would stand out. And the fact that they get a lower interest rate, they get a lower payment, and they write off the discount point, those are all wins for the buyer. Seller wins, they avoid the price slide, unexpected win, higher net, up leg strategy. It's different, it's unique. Here's where the selling agent wins. You got a happy client, put more money in their pocket. You got a better. Is there a thing called a list sale percentage? Is that a real thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that looked better for them. It could be part of a listing presentation. It could be a pre-drop strategy. Based on this market, you might have to have those kind of conversations. And then finally, as a listing agent or somebody that likes to do that, that could be a good option to take the people that are FSBOs or expireds. Yes?
No, you know what I'm thinking, Mike? I was like, damn, why couldn't we have talked about this last week? Because I have a listing that we just lowered the price by 5%. So now I'm just like, probably this would have helped.
Well, dang, I'm sorry.
And we're in my opinion, we're priced right at where we were before the price drop. This would have been something that would have been attractive as a marketing tool.
Yeah, and there's going to be a lot of people that are going to, I'm sorry about that. I should have told you about that.
No, it's all good. It's not your fault.
All right, so here the buy agent wins is the offer stands out, the future offer wins, the client stoked, and you're amazed with the negotiation skill of the buyer's agent. And so it all looks good to me. And the bottom line is it's just a way to figure this stuff out, and I just thought that this ideal, it's not unique, but I am calling it a special program. It's like make payments affordable program. And it's something that I think that if it's not brought out to some of these people that are thinking about dropping their prices, I think it's a mistake. So anyway, but that's what I wanted to bring out. I thought it was a cool program. Hopefully I was able to translate the gist of it. I've got a couple other things that I'm not going to show today, but would be very specific to properties that you could use this with. And
cool.
I'm looking at a flyer.
So you mentioned 3% on conventional and 6% FHA. What's VA, Mike, on max?
VA is actually the a couple different ones, but 4% is the initial one. They also allow an additional 4% for repairs. So that wouldn't come into play on this, but the VA would be 4%. And let me tell you, 4% will buy you a heck of a good rate. Yeah,
and then as far as, let's say we start at 6, is there a general rule of thumb on how much money reduces the percentage points? Like, we saw the calculations, 9,000 in one case dropped it like a 1.5.
Yeah, it's about for every point, this is very rough, for every point of discount, or like 1% of the loans, what I mean. 1% of the loan will buy down the rate about a quarter. Okay, so in most of the cases that we talked about, the interest rate was bought down 3 points to get those decent rates, 3+ points.
So you said every 1% of the loan, as far as a contribution or buy down points, reduces the percentage by
a quarter. And that's not
that's rough. Yes.
It's very rough. But
that's good to know.
I think on one of those, the interest rate was dropped 8.75. And I didn't show this. Let me see if I can go back to that slide. There is something. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, yeah, this is what it looks like. So, gosh, let me blow it up here. I don't know if you can see that. So this is 2.595 discount point to 72.66. And so that took it from a 5.75 to a 4.875. Can you see that? On mine, I'm able to blow it up.
No, I can see it.
And let's see, I think can't really tell on that one. This is conventional, and you can see here par is in green. And what this means when we're looking at rates, when you have a 0.55 or 100.55, that's basically par. And then if you look to the right, you see $154. That $154 goes to this buyer to help him pay for his closing costs. The cost of the higher rate is, in this case, the 4.875 would cost $7,266. So it's kind of the same thing. And that's right at 3/4 of a point. So it's a good question. Yep. Anyway, so I wanted to get that out there. And with your permission, I may share this with some other realtors just to see what they think. Again, I probably will make some charts or something that represents what the 2-1 buy down does, because that's popular also. But this, I think, does more because it helps more guys qualify for houses that they don't qualify for.
Yeah.
And it's permanent.
I would say on any marketing material that you're going to create, to show these numbers in one way or another, scenario A, scenario B.
Yeah, that's what I'm
and and like I said, the proof is in the pudding. You can't beat it.
Well, good deal. Oh, I appreciate you kind of bearing with me and being my kind of person to review this first. Other than that, that's all I had for today, and I just wanted to make sure I got that out there. Anything you want to leave with besides?
No, today's been a busy day. I want to say thank you to everybody that sent out their thoughts and prayers on Facebook. My wife had surgery today, so it's another one of those grilled cheese on the ironing board day for me. So I've been going since 4 o'clock this morning, taking care of babies, dropping them off at school, taking my wife to surgery, getting her home, and then picking up kids from school. And then now I got to jump off and make some dinner as well as take care of some other business stuff. But I appreciate you having me out today, Mike. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm so glad you were able to make it. So other than that, we'll look at you and thank you for everybody that watches this. If you see this and you don't talk to your realtor about it, then you should. And hopefully we'll get this news out and they can talk about it also. It's just one of the options to keep your payments affordable. So that's it for Better Credit, Better Home. And we'll talk to you next week, same time, same station. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks for listening to Better Credit, Better Home. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. If you're looking for a great mortgage professional, reach out to Mike at KingwoodMortgageGuys.com. Or if you're looking for a home inspector or awesome realtor, reach out to Joe Salas with Byrd Properties International.
I love it, man.
That's cool.
Next week.